Alright, this is a little shaky, but it ought to do. Hey guys, I'm Chris the Valley Guy. This is my second take at this video because I like to ramble too much. But as you can see, I just uploaded a 10 years of Undertale video. And I just wanted to talk about it because I don't make projects like this very often. I want to make more, and I didn't want to put some long, elaborate video talking about the process when the video is not meant to be about me. It's meant to be about a game that matters to a lot of people. It's a good game. You should play it. But to get started, this was definitely the biggest project I've ever taken on, and I know it's not going to get a whole lot of views or anything. I think it got like 60 on the first day, and oh well. I wasn't making the video to get views anyways. It was that wasn't the point. The point was for me to make a project good enough for me to publish it, and I really liked the game Undertale. I really wanted to make a 10-year anniversary cover because the game influenced culture whether people want to admit it or not. It really did. Especially in my generation and the generation after it, and maybe the generation before me. It has a big part in culture. Even Pope Francis was given a copy of Undertale at one of the events that he got to greet a bunch of people across the world of different cultures and settings and all that. And it's just something that is infamous. I mean, you can see something from Undertale almost anywhere. And I like the game. I think it teaches that you have a choice and that it matters, and I wanted to make a cover about it. But less about the game, let's talk about the cover. So in Audacity, I know Audacity of all things, I decided that, yeah, let's make a 60-track project in Audacity. Remind me to never do that again, because I need to be using a DAW, a DAW. Oh, where did my charging cable go? Where'd it go? Oh, come on. Man, everything fights me. I'll get to that more in a minute, but get 60 audio tracks on this little laptop, and then I tried to run Shotcut. So, there's like maybe 18 video files and the whole thing, the whole video I published, but there's a lot more instruments than that. There's over 18 trumpets alone. And I there was no way I was going to be able to fit all those into one video with the computer I had, and then I rebuilt an old computer with my dad using two old PCs we had, make a 4th gen i7 computer with an SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive, and then 32 gigs of RAM and a 2 gigabyte video RAM graphics card. I don't even know what it is, but it was able to run Shotcut good enough. Good enough to the point to where it didn't instantly crash the moment I ran the file, because I mean that laptop is an i7 7th gen with 16 gigs of RAM, and it just couldn't handle it. We're talking maxed out CPU, maxed out RAM, 89% RAM usage, and then like 25% C drive writing because it's trying to cache so much data it literally can't. And for some reason I go over to this computer and it runs it so much better, it doesn't even need to use that much RAM. Like not even, like obviously it's double the RAM, but it didn't even get to half of what it did before. I don't know. The problem with Shotcut is bottlenecked by itself, and it's a good program for small things, but when you have a video project with so many instances of videos, and like I rendered the video in 3 separate phases. Like you could see all the little trumpets, like the groups of 4, all of those were rendered independently. So, and I didn't even render them in full resolution, and I regret that. It looks bad, but it was an accident, because that was the first thing I was trying to do on that computer before I moved over to this one, and I realized, oh, I don't need to downscale everything. I had proxy at 360p, and it still wouldn't play it at full speed, but yeah, I got it to work. But yeah, so anytime you see me wearing this shirt, actually, I didn't have the light on either, so it looked terrible, but it's the final product, and you live and you learn. You don't learn unless you make mistakes sometimes, but man, it's still too hot. Man, I love tea, but man, it takes a while to wait for it. I'd probably drink way too much if I didn't have to wait for it to cool down. But anyways, what I was getting at is that all those 4 boxes of me playing trumpet with the blue shirt on with the poor lighting were all rendered in one video, in one program, one project file, and then exported as individual videos. So when you see one frame of me wearing a blue shirt, that's just because it's the background, and then I have 3 images around it, on top of it, covering it up. So it was a simple trick I thought of. I'm sure it's one of the most common tricks in the book when it comes to multi-tracking. It's still a little too hot. But, yeah, I think there were somewhere between like 14, 16, 18 trumpet parts. I can't remember. As far as parts I recorded and didn't keep, I'd say I at least recorded 40 to 50 trumpet parts, because I'm not a very good trumpet player, and you can't tell, I rewrapped it, but there's a big crack in my main tuning slide, and it leaks very, very bad. So I had to fix that, and I recorded all of it, and I was like, man, that sounds awful. Then I fixed it, and then it was so much better. I was like, oh, let me re-record all that again. So the video you saw was recorded with, like, in case this is news to people, most music videos are not recorded with the audio in sync with the video, but some of mine is. The trumpet parts were not. So all the trumpet parts were recorded early on, like weeks ago, and the worst lighting, believe it or not, with this shirt on, and the poor lighting, and all the smaller groups of me playing the trumpet were actually recorded later. I just forgot to turn the light on and make sure that all the mess was out of frame. I had my music stand trying to cover it up, and that's why I have the camera right here. And I should have just had it right here for the video, but for some reason I didn't do that. Oh well. But yeah, I wanted a brass-centric arrangement, because I'm a brass instrument player. I started on trumpet, I play euphonium, and I majored in tuba in college before I dropped out. And this is a very simple song. It's not the hardest thing to play. I'm just not a very good musician, so I had to really, really try, and that's why there's so many trumpets, and that's part of why I'm making this video, to talk about the process. So, for some reason, with the oh my goodness, that was almost a demonic incantation right there. With the leaky lead pipe, Charlie picked a pack of pickled peppers there. Oh my goodness. With the leaky lead pipe, it sounded terrible. So what I did was, okay, if it sounds bad, vulnerable as one instrument, let me just make it multiple. Let me get this like chorused, almost like intentionally present trumpet sound. And I thought that fit the theme better, because the whole scene, in case you haven't played Undertale, spoilers. I mean, like, you're walking through and you're going to the Asgore fight. You've finally gotten, if I remember correctly, you've gone through the whole game, and everyone's telling you about Asgore, the king. He's going to take your soul so you can free the underground. And you're in this last moment where the whole community is coming together to tell you this story about the king and the queen and their lost child, and why they despise humans, and maybe not despise them, but they have to be defeated. But the premise is that in the video you see I have the gameplay kind of fade in and out over the video. It's just the whole community, and I think of music and story as something that can't be separated, and that's why I think music is such a beautiful thing, because there's always a story to music, whether it's told or not. And the way the story is told for Undertale, which is when the main theme plays, it's a whole community of people coming together to tell you something important, something that is literally a part of the theme of the game. Like, it's not just the melody theme, but the theme of the game itself. It's the whole purpose of why you're there. It's literally the reason that all of what's happening is happening. So whether it was intentional or not, I used the multiple trumpets to help hide a problem with the fact that I just couldn't make a perfect performance. And I mean, there's pitch correction can't fix stuff like that, and Audacity barely has what you call pitch correction. What Audacity has is called G-Snap, and it's nothing like Auto-Tune or Melodyne. It's literally just the program tries to detect the fundamental frequency, and it can sometimes adjust it so that it's a little better in tune. But if you're wavery, it brings a lot of artifacts, and the only thing it's really good for is when you record a recording, and it's just like ever so slightly out of tune, or you just want it a little bit more in tune. It's not very versatile. It's very bad. If you want it to work perfectly, you really have to do it note by note, and it's so painful. And trust me, I did a lot of editing note by note because out of all of the trumpet parts, I think I made a few mistakes in each of them. And when you have like, because the number of actual trumpets in the video is 10. There was at least 14 audio tracks I know in the final version I published. A few mistakes get picked up very quickly because what's 3 times 14? I can't do that off the top of my head, but it's a lot. So there were a lot of instances that I literally zoomed in as small as I can on the track. I cut out a section, I faded out the audio going up to it, and I faded in the audio coming out of it. And because there's so many trumpets, a missing note doesn't matter. It's all stagger breathing anyways. But I love the idea that unintentionally I ended up with this almost kind of fitting set arrangement of instruments because it's a community. It's a whole bunch of people, and they're all different. I mean, each one of those trumpet recordings was different. They all had different attacks and ends, and that's the purpose. Like, if you were to take a digital trumpet, you just had the computer play, which I'll get to sequencing in a minute, and you just have it play, it's going to be exactly the same. You're literally not going to be able to tell that there's more than one playing unless you alter it to make it different. That's how sound physics works. But, yeah, I mean, I think that it worked out really well. I think that it doesn't sound perfect, but that's part of the point because even the story isn't. It's not that it isn't perfect in the sense that the writing is bad. It's that it's a story, so it has conflict. Nothing is perfect in any world. I mean, spoiler alert at the end of the game. Even don't watch this, Dad. I know that you watch my videos. Don't watch this part because he started playing Undertale. So he saw my video and he wants to play the game. So don't watch this part. Skip ahead the next 30 seconds. But like you don't get to save Azrael at the end. Like you don't. And it's not a perfect story with perfect sunshine and rainbows. It's very good, but it's still not everything. You don't get everything you wanted. You can't save everyone, and that's part of why at the end of my video I worded the outro the way I did. But yeah, besides the trumpets, also you have no idea how amazed I was at how I managed to get that middle solo section around the 3-minute mark. I usually don't play that good, so the fact that it came out that good like really surprised me because that was like my 7th take, and that was 7 takes over like that was my 7th take at that sitting. So I had tried to record that dozens of times. I had spliced together different recordings trying to get it to sound just right, and I'm not perfect. And that one recording, there's one note that has an articulation that's a little softer than the rest, and there's one note that kind of falls down in the tune just a little bit, but really, I was really, really happy with how that last middle part came out. And I know I'm playing with basically the plumber's edition of a trumpet. I mean, it's barely held together right now, but it's literally held together with plumber's Teflon tape. So the fact I was able to get anything sound that good. For the reverb, I intentionally didn't put too much reverb on everything, but that one trumpet part, and I intentionally put the cards of the gameplay in that spot, in the spots I did for a reason. I very much put climaxes of the sound with the respective parts of the music. And talking about when the human died, just having that solemn trumpet solo, literally just 2 voices, the tuba and the trumpet. This soft and round, warm bass instrument that's there literally just enough to support the trumpet, and then the trumpet there echoing through a cathedral, almost like just something mourning a loss. I just felt like it worked out really well, and I was really happy with how the whole way that it came out was. And I don't know if that was proper English, my bad, but regardless, I think that especially when the trumpets came in on the chord, the call and response, what was it? It was or was it? There we go. was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But whenever those trumpets came in, the 2 trumpets and the euphonium that would go back and forth, where I had the 5 instruments on screen, it just, I got the exact feeling of solemn that I was looking for, and I was really happy that it turned out. And as for the euphonium part, the euphonium is only present for that transition between the key change, however it goes, I can't remember, and I'm thinking backwards, but besides that, there's literally just a fun fact. There's the euphonium part that comes in on the intro. I recorded that all in one take. It's literally just bum, 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 the entire piece until the key change when I go, because the melody is the left hand, it would be the left hand. So that was that euphonium, but it literally played 2 notes the entire time, and it played every beat, every offbeat of every measure throughout the entire thing until the piano solo took it over at the end, and I forgot about that. I hope I have enough video and battery to finish this before my phone dies, but and then for the rest of it, I'm really happy with how I got the tuba equalized and all that, because I have the really warm sound of my F tuba, which was the brass colored tuba, and that was the main, and I think it turned out quite well, and it works very well because it's a sustaining instrument, it doesn't decay, and the original used a square wave, and I love the Instrument Maniac's behind the scene on his video. Kind of inspired the whole thing to make it behind the scenes for this video, to be honest, but he was talking about how the open hand harp position literally is almost like a square wave, and that tuba, I feel like that it isn't as strong as an attack, and I did that on purpose, but it's just a warm bass sound in the same way, but it's not too assertive. Because ultimately I went into this arrangement just based off of sheet music that I had saved in my note flight from like 7, 8, 9 years ago, and I've just been working. I just kind of reformatted it a bit, and there were some things that weren't correct, and the responses weren't the same as they were in the beginning and the second half, and I had to add it, and there were mistakes I had to change along the way. But ultimately, the mistakes that were in it, and there was some inspiration from other arrangements, and that's how arrangements are made. They're just inspired from other people's arrangements and the original work itself. I'm trying to remember who did. I think their name was D Person like 3204 or something. They have a whole library of harpsichord Undertale sheet music, and it's not legitimate harpsichord, but it's just sheet music for the game, but it's played on harpsichord MIDI sequencing through note flight. And on the last, what was it? They had the lift into the measure, and I really liked that. And I remember that one aspect came from that arrangement, and I really liked it. It transferred over into mine. I felt like it's just a little touch, but I don't take credit for it. That was him. And and the tuba, the silver tuba, the contrabass tuba, I could have done both on the same tuba, but I'm not that lazy, and I wanted diversity in the orchestra that I made, so a little ensemble. But silver tuba was playing just the fundamental, and usually in half notes or whole notes at the beginning, and then went to half notes after the little bridge section with the trumpet solo. And I think I got the tone just right to where you can tell it's there, but it's not in your face. And that was what I was really trying to do. And that's the hard part with doing a 60-track audio score. It's especially when you only have a 20% dial, a -10 and a +10, or -100 and +100% gain control. And I know I can adjust it down to an individual level, blah, blah, blah. I just never did. It took too much time. But yeah, I think the brass came out really well, and I'm really happy with it. So onto the piano parts. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Um, the piano parts, all the piano parts that you can hear, if you can even hear them, because most of them are just there support in the background. I had them sequenced just to save time, because it's literally the game. All the game music is sequenced through. It's all digital sequence music. So what are you gonna do? I put a few sequence piano parts in, and if you didn't know, sequencing is when you have a MIDI file and you play it. Well, the way I did it actually was very organic. So I had the MIDI file. I actually loaded up Synthesia, which is where you have the bars come down on the keys, like the piano tutorial videos. And I had it set up to where the notes fall down on the keys, obviously, but Synthesia will play back through your piano. So I literally plugged in my piano's audio output and back into the computer and did a big circle. So I wanted to use the piano sound that I was going to be using later to be consistent, and it also has good percussion, and that's what I used minus the bass drum. And I think it turned out great. I sequenced all the percussion. I sequenced all the piano up until the very end where you actually see me playing the piano. And if you can hear the strings, there's a lot of strings. There's, you can actually, so there was you could hear the bass, but there was actually a not sequence string part, and you could hear it. It's just chords up in the top, and you can tell it's a little more human sounding, if you could even hear the other strings to begin with. And it, the only other part the strings had were the response to the call. So I didn't record that whenever I got the audio for it, so I couldn't really go back and record it and give it touch, because I improvise it. I improvise a lot whenever I make these videos or make music in general, because I know structure is good, but I like to improvise. It creates some of the most unexpected and surprisingly good outcomes, and I just didn't record that one with video. So I included it, I just didn't include a video trying to pretend to play the part that I played, because it's disingenuous to me. So I'm just worried that I'm going to run out of battery, or I'm going to run out of storage, so I got to speed this up a little bit. But the synth parts, I have to give credit. This is my upper keyboard. It's a Korg 01/WFD music workstation. This is an incredible keyboard. It can do so much, and it has a lot of the old sounds. You can do multiple sounds at once, and then you can change the octave, and it has a lot of the traditional square wave, saw wave, pulse width, square waves, percentage, and all that, and sine wave. And I used it a lot. There were probably about 6 or 7 voices in the entire arrangement that used it, especially the bass. There was a sine wave instrument that I played manually. I did not sequence it. It was just the bass the whole time. And it was in unison with the tuba for the most part. And at the very end and throughout, you hear some really low notes if you have a good speaker system for it. But the lowest note is G sharp off the piano, which is like 25.5 hertz, I think. And yeah, I included the low notes because I like low notes, but they bring power. And this keyboard was, I have to give credit. I was saying, my piano teacher, Judy Zarn, gave me this keyboard whenever she moved from Baton Rouge to Texas. And I've just really appreciated it ever since she gave it to me. It's always just been the upper manual to my organ. I never really got to play with it and use it because it was the only other keyboard I had. But this time I got to use it, and hopefully she likes my video project. But, yeah. So I used that, and at the very end there's some synth solos, and obviously there's the call and response. And I felt like I really could not record that on trumpet with the leaky lead pipe at the time. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I tried and tried. It just wasn't, I could have done it, it would have taken way too long. So I just decided I need another solution, and that's when the whole idea to add synths to begin with even came from. It's like, oh, let me add a synthesizer. It'll give it the game kind of feel, because that's what I like about Toby Fox's soundtrack, is that it blends almost a realistic music nature with a more traditional, like, 8-bit style game soundtrack. And I love that, especially with Deltarune and Undertale. But, yeah, the synth solos at the end were all improvised. So you could hear the it started off as like the main melody after I let the solo piano get in and get working up, and that was improvised too. And it was all around just the themes. And it was just, you know, you had the piano coming in, it was like, and the whole reason I did it that way was to introduce the bass of the piano. And you can hear, if you listen really closely, the piano is really interweaving and like spiraling with the synthesizer solo, and it's like all over the place. So it's just, it's having, they're all intertwining, but the piano solo was just more of the textural background until the synthesizers came in. And when the synthesizer came in, let me see if I can, I gotta be able to, there's no way. Come on. Oh, it's disconnected, isn't it? No, it's there. So, come on. I really wanted to reintroduce the main melody, but with bending. And I really wanted the whole solo to be this really emotional thing, because if you're paying attention to the text in the background, it's working up to this moment where Azrael has literally just done this, ironically, very humility-based action of deciding not to harm those who harmed him and harm them back because they don't understand. And ultimately, it literally leads to his death. And he's a child. And I very intentionally put the moments with the bending notes because, like, just if you listen to music over time, you start to hear these things, like the bending of the notes and the high registers and the steel guitars of the blues and all of these very specific things, the vibrato on the end of a note of a violin note. It's like all of it sounds like the human cry. It sounds like the human cry for why. It's the human mourning. It's the tears. It's literally it's just, and it was very intentional. It was very much intentionally bent up so painfully and slowly, and it was made to really bring out the truth of the story. Yes, the music is beautiful. The story itself is beautiful because the most beautiful stories have the most conflict sometimes. It really does. And it's not about always fixing the conflict. It's that you have to see it. It's beautiful because the right decision was made at a cost. And just to put that underneath, or put that over top, a synthesizer just completely crying out why. It's crying out why must things be this way. It's because it was the right thing to do. And that's a big part of why I say music and story are so intertwined. They're so rootly connected. You cannot separate the two, because a story creates itself for every song that has no story written, and every story that's written has a song that's created for it, whether we get to hear it or not, whether it's actually created in the real world or not. It exists because whether it's something that's been copyright protected and all that, or whether it's literally just a theme that plays in our own head when we read a book. It's real. And I really was so happy with how it all turned out, because it really did, with the bass and with the piano and everything, and the trumpets just repeating the motor rhythm over and over and over again. it's the witness to all of it. It really is. It's the recognition and the declaration of what's happened. And it's the sorrow, pain, grief, anguish, and despair that comes with it. And I know, like, all that's, like, not positive things, but that doesn't keep it from being beautiful. And that's part of why I structured the synthesizers the way I did. And what's crazy is I didn't even think I was going to have synths at the beginning. It just came and it's like, there has to be a synth solo here. It makes too much sense. And it came out just about better than I ever hoped it would. Obviously, it isn't perfect, but there's synths in the background. I even duplicated an octave after the fact. You see all of the synth parts I'm playing, though, in that part, except for the bass. That's the only part that you don't see. And at the end, when you see all the instruments I put together, it's for one, that's about half the trumpets in reality. Not half, but there's another third of that. Like, that's about 2/3 of the trumpets you see. There's more, I promise. And I just didn't render them all in video. But that being said, there's that, and then all the string parts, all the sequence piano parts, and then all of the final product together. This was a very good, fun project to make, but it did have its struggles. For some reason, when Shotcut decided not to export the audio and video in sync, because I recorded it in 4K 60 on my phone and then had it reduced in Shotcut to 1080 at 24 FPS, it decided that it was that wasn't acceptable to export properly. So every single time I exported it, the audio got ahead of the video, or the video got behind the audio, whichever way you want to look at it. And oh my goodness, that was frustrating. Yesterday I spent 6 hours trying to fix this problem. It was fine with all the exports and all the tests I did up until the very last moment I needed it to work, and it fought me. So, oh well. I had to export it into Premiere, and Premiere would do the exact same thing. What the heck? So then I had to put it into iMovie, because for some reason iMovie on my iPad was the only software sophisticated enough to recognize drift. I don't know if it was drift exactly. I mean, it was all in time the whole way. Whatever the case, I got it done. I was going to make this video yesterday and upload it on the 15th, but that's not going to happen. This video is going to get uploaded the 16th, and that's okay. But there's a whole lot more I could say about this project, but I mean, what else is there really to say, though? I mean, it's honestly, it's been a lot of fun to make this, and I'm going to be making more projects in the future. And whether people watch them or not, I could not care less. YouTube is just my platform to post this. Also, speaking of YouTube, I got 2 copyright claims on that video the moment I uploaded it by 2 people who were not Toby Fox. So I had to put disputes in already, and that makes me nervous because I have to sign it, and it's just another reason that YouTube can delete my channel again, which I hope they don't. I do not want YouTube to delete my channel again, but I'm just going to keep finding ways to come back if they do. Sorry. I hope that they weren't reading my lips there, or reading the audio and taking it literally. I don't know. YouTube is going downhill as a whole. Spilled a drop. That's not new news, though. It's been going downhill ever since the release of Undertale. So, whether you want to attribute one to that or not, I know the fandom is kind of ridiculous, but legitimately, this project did mean a lot to me, and I'm glad I got to do it. I don't know if this was on the last take I mentioned it, but I was over the road whenever I wanted to start this project, but I couldn't. And I actually was participating in Luke Pinkham, I think that's his name, his worldwide orchestra version of it, and I got to participate in it, and I'm in it. If you want to go find me, I'm holding the silver tuba. I still have long hair, and you can't see this wall, but it's a plain white wall. You might recognize me, you might not. You'll see the tuba and you might recognize it, but I'm at the bottom whenever the tubas come up. I'm like near the right, and at the very end I'm all the way up against the right side of the screen. But I think that was a really cool concept, and his behind the scenes videos partially what inspired this. But besides that, I have more projects in mind. I want to make more battle song content. I really do. I'm gonna re-review the Barracuda because it deserves it, and I've gotten more time with it. But genuinely, I'm excited to make more content because I am going to be getting Reaper with Melodyne, and that's going to help me be able to achieve the final quality. Because whether I've done a lot of different projects over the while that I don't publish anywhere public with my name attached to it. I publish it in private areas under different names, and people really love my work. It seems I can't accept it unless it's studio grade, and that's why I feel contempt with this project for once. I feel like it actually came kind of close to almost studio grade. It was human, and that's the thing. Music is music because it's human, but music is good when it's polished as well. It's good both ways, but it's easy and digestible to listen to when it's polished and studio worthy, studio made. And what I'm trying to accomplish is the middle ground between music that's human and isn't just, oh, let's blatantly auto-tune everything. No, I want to sing all the notes. I don't want to use Melodyne to fix everything. I want to make music, but I wanted to get it the last step of the way there using little fine things in software, unlike Audacity, where I have to zoom in down to the millisecond and get everything right in time because, heaven forbid, because there's syncing issues and there's delays when recording and I have to manually sync everything every single time I record it. I spent an hour with a metronome I imported into there just to sync all the tracks because they kept getting out of phase even though I recorded them all with a metronome to begin with. I actually played it back on Note Flight with the sheet music at a set tempo and played it back with it and just had headphones on, but it's still got out of sync somehow. But nevertheless, I am going to post more music. I don't know what, I think I'm going to do a Bach piece next. If Thou Be Near, I think would be a really beautiful piece to cover. It was one of my introductions into Bach, even though he didn't technically write it. But either that, and I really would love to do Amazing Grace, because I love the song, and there's a million reasons to sing Amazing Grace. And it's a project that I know I could get other people to collaborate on, and I want more diversity in my music projects. And before y'all ask, if anyone who cares enough to even hear this message probably wouldn't have made it this far in the video, if I'm being honest, but for the people who have made it that want more battle song content, I'm never going to stop making battle song content entirely as long as one person's asking me to make it. Because at least one of those people will usually be me. But, I mean, genuinely, I want to make the content that I'm passionate about, and I don't care if it gets no views. It's not what I care about. And that's the thing that defines music. It's that music isn't made for views. It's not made for money. It's not made to be heard, necessarily, in the sense that music is heard today. Music is made because it is in your heart to make something beautiful. And to make music is to make art. And I just hope that the music that I make glorifies God, and that's all I care about at the end of the day as far as making music. And yeah, I want to make music that's not deceptive. I don't want music to be like, oh, let me just use all of the tools to fix all the things wrong with me and be one of these pop artists. I don't want that. I want to make music because I can. I won't accept payment for it. I will not live off of making music, because then it becomes my job, and then it becomes something that I can't live with. And that's part of why I dropped out of college, if I'm being honest. It was the coming to terms with that if I choose to do music for a living, I may hate it. And I love driving. I really love driving. I love jobs that keep me on my toes. They're hard, but ultimately, I could live with being repulsed by driving. I could live with hating to drive. I could live with not looking forward to driving ever again in the rest of my life. I may have to do it anyways, but I would lose a part of my soul if I hated to make music, which is why I don't make music for a living. I make it when I want to, and I think that makes it better. That's just me, though. and props to those who can do it for a living. I give you a little mini applause because good job. But yes, Toby Fox made an amazing game when he made Undertale. He made an amazing game when he made Deltarune, and I'm going to have covers of music from that too. I've been really wanting to cover. Maybe I'll do some from the newer chapters, maybe the older ones. I had the Legend cover on YouTube for a while before my channel got deleted. If I can find that video, if it even was a video, I'll republish it. But ultimately, yeah, that's about it. I loved Undertale. I loved watching people play it. I loved the story. I never really got to truly get a full playthrough myself. I never got to play. I didn't own a copy. I borrowed it and I played it at a time. And anyways, thank you for watching this behind the scenes and kind of reflective talk video. If y'all like this kind of content, just let me know. And I normally don't ask of this ever. I've never asked for a subscription. That's not what I'm asking for. If you want to share that cover with anyone because you think they'll like it, I wouldn't mind that, but no pressure. I like it when I like my work to be seen, but it doesn't create the value isn't created out of being seen. You know, I think y'all get that. But anyways, I appreciate y'all watching. I hope that you were able to get something transformative, or is that the right word? I don't know. I hope you were able to get some kind of enjoyment out of listening to me talk in front of the camera at my music workstation. And that's what I'll do real quick. I'll show y'all my little thing. So I'm recording with my phone right now. I'm using this phone tripod right here. And I have a mirror right here so I can make sure I'm in frame and all that. But normally when I don't have a mirror in my dresser, I have my tea station and my valve oil. This is the computer that me and my dad remade, and that's my monitor, of course. I have these two really big speakers right here that were given to me. They were passed down through family. My mirror normally goes there. You know, I got some things on the wall. I went to ULM, so I got to take that with me whenever I left. And I have a little memento shelf right here showing a bunch of stuff. I got my portal gun up there. I love that thing. I don't know if I could ever get rid of it. And loving memory of Dr. Darrell Long. My Kappa Kappa Psi shirt. Those are my recording lights on a variable auto transformer. And I got my Rousai plushies, and I got my Yonka Gore plush. I followed Jay and Arnsky for a long time, and I bought some stickers, got a card, picture of me with my mom. This is my room. I got my tubas down there, and I got some speakers over there and amplifiers over here. And this is, I sit on this section of the bench right here at the keyboard, and I scoot over, and I'm over here editing all the audio. And while I'm at it, I'll show y'all the horrible, what's it called? Come on, shortcut. Show y'all the horrible layout of everything. It was this one. Huh. Whatever. I can't find it. I can't find the files. Probably on a flash drive. But, and this is my organ setup, my music workstation. As messy as all these wires are, I know. But it gets the job done, and I like it. So, okay, I can see myself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, let me turn this way. If you want to see more videos, just let me know. I'll be here to make more eventually. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.